Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed. They got their strange machines. How did they get up there?
What's good? What's good? What's good, peoples? Peace and blessings. Happy Wednesday. I hope all is well with the good folks. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. Shout out to everybody who tapped in yesterday, today. Just overall, the last few days have been pretty dope. You see the title. I got a clip, but before we go there, I'm gonna bring the lady of the night up to do her thing. If you're not familiar with her, get familiar with her. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting show. Sydney, if you are in the building, I'm bringing you up. Hold on, let's get this right here. All right, which one am I going to? Left or right? Hold up.
Hello. Sorry, my mother-in-law can talk quite a long time. Right. I love talking to her, though. Nothing wrong with that. Wow, today's been quite a day. I've been roaming the news the whole day just because it's been one thing after another. I don't know if you saw the map that I sent you, but I started off my morning looking on Zillow to see what, the housing state of the country is a good indicator of like what the country is like, what the economic state is. And I was looking at the foreclosures, because foreclosures are basically people who can't afford to stay in their houses, to the point that now the bank is telling you have to leave because you haven't been paying your dues and what you need to be paying. And I compiled this just from the screenshots I was taking. These are all cities around the United States. I posted it on social media, but every single red dot is a house that has been foreclosed on in the last 30 days. There's thousands upon thousands. And those are just the major cities like Toledo, Hartford, New York, Newark, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Florida, like all over California, everywhere, anywhere, you name it. Like literally the only states I didn't really see that much were the upper New England states like Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and then like Oregon, Washington, Alaska. But they don't have as high of a density, at least like Alaska and some of those. But yeah, that started my morning. And then I've also been watching stuff about how homeless individuals are now disappearing. There was somebody that goes past a homeless encampment regularly on his way to work. And that morning he went out and all their stuff was there, but there was nobody. They were all gone. And as I looked into it, this is happening everywhere. There are people, like homeless encampments of like hundreds of people, small amounts to like hundreds of people going missing. And even my mother-in-law, she's saying her somebody she goes to church with runs an organization that works with the homeless population, and she's been doing this for decades. And many of the people that she has been working with for decades are suddenly gone. And then I also found out that they just the Supreme Court just overturned the ban on racial profiling. So it's now legal to racial profile. Gotta love the country. So I've been having a very research-oriented day, but yeah, not very fun topics though.
Yeah, you searched and you found, right?
Yeah. I've also been noticing too that when I do searches now, Google does filter the results. And if I compare it from that to another search engine that I use called Ecosia, you get different results. And Google will tell you one thing, and if you look it on Ecosia, it'll show articles that are telling you different things. So I'm now suspicious. I'm like, I see what's happening here. I really don't trust anybody that makes over $1 million now.
I've already done been there. I said it yesterday. I don't trust not too many people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially search engines, but it's neither here nor there. This one right here is one that you left me a few days back, and I think it was probably the most recent one. I'm like, hold up, the heist during the daytime? Is that possible? Is this a movie?
At the Louvre too, or I think it's the Louvre.
Yeah. I got a video from YouTube. It's like an 11-minute clip where he kind of talks about it. So I don't know if you want to share anything before I bring it on the screen or not.
We can start with the clip.
Start with the clip?
Yeah.
All right. Let me bring this up here.
They'll do a better job summarizing than I will. I'll just get straight to the opinions.
Gotcha. All right, so we're about to go ahead and just let this run through. This is first for me. I'm not very familiar with it. I'm watching this live right along with y'all. This is a separate clip from the one that you sent me, but
it's the case of the robbery at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. The Louvre Museum is a national art museum in Paris, France. It contains about 500,000 objects like paintings, jewelry, and sculptures. At 780,000 square feet, it is the largest museum in the world. It is also the most visited museum, with over 8 million visitors a year. Throughout its history, there have been a few high-profile thefts from the Louvre Museum. Most notoriously, in 1911, a former employee took the Mona Lisa. It was recovered 2 years later. In 1976, 3 perpetrators climbed up scaffolding on the side of the museum and broke a window. They took a sword used in the coronation of King Charles X. The sword was never recovered. In 1983, a breastplate and a ceremonial helmet were stolen. The items were recovered in 2021 when an expert in antiques spotted them during an appraisal for an estate. And in 1998, a small $1.3 million painting was stolen in broad daylight while the museum was open to the public. It was never recovered. Over the years, many people have been critical about the low-level security at the Louvre Museum. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On Sunday, October 19, 2025, the Louvre Museum opened at 9 a.m. At 9:30 a.m., 4 perpetrators arrived at the south side of the museum. They had 3 vehicles with them: a small truck equipped with an electrically powered ladder, commonly used in Paris to move furniture in and out of apartment buildings, and 2 Yamaha T-Max scooters. These are gasoline-powered scooters appropriate for less experienced riders because they do not require manual gear shifting. These scooters can reach speeds of about 100 miles per hour and are a popular choice for a quick getaway. They parked on the street that runs the length of the south side of the museum, adjacent to the River Seine. The perpetrators were wearing yellow and orange vests and put down traffic cones, which made them look like construction workers. There was construction work going on nearby, so this was an effective disguise.
Trade with the pearls definitely goes down to the basics so that you can understand the process of trading.
The perpetrators extended the ladder to the second-floor balcony of the Apollo Gallery. This gallery, which was built in 1661, housed a collection of historic crown jewels, 105 pieces in total. 2 of the criminals climbed the ladder to the second floor and made it to a window. At 9:34 a.m., they broke the window using a gasoline-powered 4.4 horsepower cut-off saw. This power tool is designed for cutting through metal and masonry, but it can also cut through other materials like glass. The media has repeatedly referred to this tool as an angle grinder, but that description is not precise. When they entered the gallery, an alarm was triggered and security guards responded. The perpetrators threatened them with the cut-off saw, so the security guards fled the gallery. After approaching glass display cases in the center of the room, the criminals cut into 2 of them. This triggered additional alarms. This, of course, would only send more security guards heading for the exit. In less than 4 minutes, the perpetrators took 9 pieces of jewelry from the 2 display cases: a tiara, necklace, and 1 earring from a sapphire set that belonged to the last Queen of France. The tiara contained 24 sapphires and 1,083 diamonds, and the necklace contained 8 sapphires and 631 diamonds. An emerald necklace and emerald earrings from the collection of Empress Marie-Louise, the second wife of Napoleon I. A tiara containing almost 2,000 diamonds, a brooch, and a large bodice knot, which is like a brooch, that belonged to Empress Eugenie, the third wife of Napoleon III, and the crown of Empress Eugenie, which contained 56 emeralds and 1,354 diamonds. At 9:38 a.m., the perpetrators climbed down the ladder. They dropped the crown of Empress Eugenie in the street while making their escape. The other 2 criminals were waiting on the Yamaha scooters, ready to make a getaway. Before leaving, the criminals attempted to set fire to the ladder truck, undoubtedly to destroy evidence, but an employee of the museum prevented them from achieving this goal. All 4 perpetrators left on the scooters. The crown of Empress Eugenie was recovered at the scene. It had been damaged. At the time I'm making this video, the investigation into this theft is underway. This was an extremely high-profile crime, about as brazen and attention-grabbing as any theft could be. Hundreds of police officers have been assigned to find the perpetrators. Now moving to my analysis. It seems pretty likely that the perpetrators in this case will be arrested eventually. The police have recovered many items involved in the theft that could aid in the identification of the offenders. For example, the ladder truck, 1 of the Yamaha scooters, a cut-off saw, a blowtorch, gloves, a walkie-talkie, a can of gasoline, a blanket, a motorcycle helmet, and a high-visibility vest. The perpetrators could have left DNA behind on any number of objects, including the crown of Empress Eugenie, which they dropped on the street during their getaway. Initially, a number of media commentators suggested that the perpetrators could have been working for some type of shadowy billionaire collector. I picture someone like Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers movies, an eccentric criminal who wanted to add jewelry to his private collection for his personal enjoyment only, never to be seen by the public again. These are not the types of items that somebody can sell at a local jewelry store or pawn shop. They are unique and distinctive. There's a big difference between getting an appraisal on a half-carat diamond ring and a tiara covered in diamonds. This evil billionaire motive seems incredibly unlikely. If the perpetrators were working for someone like this, they would not have left behind a $60 million diamond during the theft. Here I'm talking about the Regent diamond, which was right near the other items that they took. They deliberately targeted jewelry that could be broken apart, meaning they could sell the components without attracting attention. The offenders could melt down the valuable metal and recut some of the stones. I believe these criminals were simply looking to make money. The cultural significance of the jewelry was not important to them. They didn't steal the items because of the history behind them, rather exclusively due to their monetary value. The authorities estimate the stolen jewels are worth about $102 million, excluding any cultural value, although the thieves will be unlikely to make that much from selling them. This brings me to the question, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. The 4 perpetrators of this crime are most likely men with criminal histories. It is relatively uncommon to find 4 men who are willing to work together in a complex and high-profile conspiracy outside the realm of organized crime. These probably were not 9-to-5 workers in normal jobs who just decided one day to rob the Louvre Museum. It would be unusual to start a criminal career with a major museum heist. This is the type of crime that an antisocial offender works up to, not one that begins his career. If they have been involved with the justice system, as I suspect, their DNA and fingerprints are in a database from prior arrests. In all likelihood, the idea for the heist came from just one of the men, who in turn communicated this idea to his conspirators. He knew they would be receptive because they are all involved in organized crime. The man probably paid a visit to the Louvre Museum and realized the security wasn't exactly world-class. The authorities admitted that 1/3 of the rooms in the wing where the theft took place had no security cameras. And, as I mentioned, the security guards fled after being threatened with a power tool. They make Paul Blart, mall cop, look like Rambo. Some security guards are trained to observe and report. These guys were trained to scream and run. The only way they could be considered dangerous is if they accidentally collided with a tourist on the way out. To be fair, a cutoff saw is a very scary tool. These security guards would not have had much chance against it unless they had firearms. The 4 offenders carefully planned the robbery. They somehow acquired the ladder truck, the Yamaha scooters, and the cutoff saw. I imagine some, if not all of these items were stolen, although they could have been rented under a fake identity. The men used tools sufficient to cut through the window and the display cases. This suggests a familiarity with both the power tools and the material used in the museum, like the material used to construct the window and the display cases. The nearby construction work handed the men an easy tactic to remain inconspicuous. People don't look twice at construction workers. Ironically, in the world of theft at least, orange cones and high-visibility vests make people invisible. The men knew that alarms would sound when they broke in, so the key to their plan was speed. They only spent 3 minutes and 50 seconds inside the Apollo Gallery. The items to be stolen were selected precisely and with care. The men did not let themselves get too greedy, only breaking into 2 display cases and leaving behind many other valuable items. Speed was such a concern that in their haste, the men dropped the crown of Empress Eugenie. They could have gone back to retrieve it, but they left it behind, holding themselves to a strict timetable to maintain their escape. Another clever move was to use relatively powerful and easy-to-drive scooters. This allowed them to maneuver through traffic, drive between cars, and fit into narrow alleys. Undoubtedly, they abandoned the scooters once they were away from the scene and used other vehicles to continue their escape. Considering how carefully the men planned their crime, it stands to reason they also made plans to convert the jewelry into cash. They are probably not sitting around wondering what to do with it. Rather, the items may have already been melted down and recut. These offenders recognized the value of speed, They are not going to hold on to unique and easily identifiable jewelry for too long. As far as the personality characteristics of the men, it's likely they had clinical or subclinical psychopathic traits. For example, they may have been impulsive, irresponsible, reckless, remorseless, grandiose, manipulative, fearless, cold, callous, and excitement-seeking. There's a pretty good chance that at least a few of the men would qualify for an antisocial personality disorder diagnosis. About 70% of prison inmates have this disorder. As I mentioned, in the end, these perpetrators will probably be arrested. It's unlikely that they could have kept all their DNA off every item they touched during the crime. The authorities in France are certainly going to go over every item very carefully. They will not miss any DNA. After being arrested, some of the men may forever deny responsibility. Others may embrace their notoriety, like their grandiosity will get the best of them. Either way, they will be notorious. By stealing items with historical significance, they will become historic offenders.
Desperate or just bold?
They did find two of them recently. About 2 hours ago, they published an article on BBC and a couple other sites that two men were arrested in connection with that, and they have admitted that they were part of it. There are still two accomplices that are missing, and the jewels have not been found yet, the items that they stole. They said one man was arrested when he tried to board a one-way flight to Algeria, and the second, doesn't say how the second one was found. They said it was two men, both in their 30s. They both had criminal records, just like he said. They were identified by DNA found at the scene. There's another site that describes this better. Where'd it go? Okay. The two men were arrested Saturday evening and held in custody where they were questioned for 96 hours. That is a really long time. The two additional suspects remain at large. This is from CNN. The first subject is 94. He is of Algerian nationality. He had prior records for traffic-related offenses and was identified through DNA recovered from one of the scooters. The second suspect, 39, is an illegal taxi driver and delivery driver born in, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, a suburb in Paris. He was previously known to police for aggravated theft. So he has a history of this. His DNA was found on glass that had been broken from one of the display cases. Nothing suggests that they were helped from staff inside the museum, so this is completely independent of any employees. But they're still trying to identify the other two individuals. They said that they were able to identify them after analyzing more than 150 DNA samples and examining several of the items that they left behind, including gloves, a helmet, and jackets, which to me, I'm like, man, you're going to put all that effort into making sure you keep the timetable, but you're going to leave your stuff behind, your literal clothing. I'm like, okay, maybe you're not that good. They probably just got lucky, maybe. But the man that was arrested at the airport, he was stopped during a passport check before he could actually board the flight. The emerald necklace and the collection of diamonds, the loose diamonds, were not recovered yet. So that, my guess is it's probably with the other two guys. And yeah, he did a really great job at describing the whole incident. He actually mentioned some stuff that I didn't even know. But yeah, the one thing that I can say, part of the reason why I sent it to you, and I was like, how brazen is that you're going to do that in broad daylight and actually be successful? It's insane what people will do. And I definitely agree. I don't remember if you said it or he said it, but I think you said it. Desperation. Like, people don't do this type of stuff unless they're extremely greedy or extremely desperate. And due to the price of the items, I would suspect that it would be greed. But given where they're from, I would also not put it past them to just be desperate. Algeria in particular is not a great place to live, unfortunately. But I don't know. I mean, really, with the amount of stuff that they were going after, I can't really see anything other than greed. But I could see if they were like low class, poor kind of situation, any amount of money would be enticing. And that type of money is like life-making money. The amount that they took would have been like 88 million euros, $102 million. So that would make anyone's day, to make anyone's life to have that much, especially if you're living in somewhere like Algeria, where the cost of living is significantly lower than it is here in the United States or there in France. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting when I was reading up on this is the big diamond that they did not steal, the Regent diamond. It has a myth about it that it's like bad luck. There's bad juju with it. That it's supposedly cursed because the history of that item. First of all, I'll just show you this. It's not really good because it doesn't show you the perspective, but like that's how big it used to be. And it was originally 410 carats, and then they cut it down to 140 carats, to the size that it is now. And at 140 carats, that's how big it is. So you can kind of imagine, like, it's probably like that big when it was found, maybe. But it has been considered to be cursed. And so some people are like, maybe that's why they didn't grab that diamond. When it was smuggled out of a mine by an enslaved individual, they were subsequently murdered by an English ship captain. Then the captain sold the diamond to a merchant who in turn sold it to a man named Sir Thomas Pitt. And he sold the diamond to the Duke of New Orleans, and then it was sold to Marie Antoinette and Napoleon, and it was around the time that they met their fate. So it was stolen, and then it was recovered a year later, and a couple years after it was recovered, that's when they died. And I don't see any other. I would have hoped that there was more of a history behind the curse, but there's still a belief that it has been cursed because of its connection to like their deaths and the deaths of the person that initially stole it. So maybe they had that mentality where they're like, I don't really want to get killed, even though maybe they did touch it and that's why they got caught. But yeah, I think really the biggest thing for me is they pseudo successfully did this in broad daylight. Like, what's the staff doing? Like,
Right.
Wouldn't you have cameras and stuff like that? I'm like, you can't even get out of a Walmart stealing like a granola bar. Meanwhile, these guys are stealing $1.1 million of like jewelry and a whole crown, like 2 whole crowns. Like, what are you guys doing? You've been in this business for 400 years. Like, this museum has been around since the 1600s, and what are you guys doing? You'd think with all the modern technology they would be able to keep themselves safe. I mean, as I said, if you're comparing it to like Walmart or Target, they do much better at protecting their worthless products than they're doing at protecting some of the greatest national treasures or greatest world treasures ever. So that's really where I'm kind of like, dang, you really let that happen.
Honestly, the only thing I could think of is France is an entirely different world compared to where we're at. I mean, because I've heard so many different people say how much life is not as heavy, or like the levels of burden and pressure is not as bad as it is here versus other places. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they had such a low security setup. I mean, because I don't know what their crime rate is like, or if they have an issue with guns and violence and stuff like that. But when you consider the fact that most of these other countries, not all of them, I'm only talking about a handful of them, they don't really go through a lot of what we do. So that's the only thing I could think of, because outside of that, there's no way in the world you put that museum here and you're not getting shot. You're getting shot, tased or shot. It's not going to be one or the other. It's just happening.
We have higher crime rates than France. Like, just with there's 16% more police officers in France than there is in the United States. There's 3 times more total crimes in the United States than in France. Let's see, theft. Murder rate is higher in the United States, about 5 times higher. Theft, violent crimes. Let's see. Assault, auto theft. I'm getting there. Property crimes, including vandalism and theft. United States, 6% more than France. So we're sort of on par. Like, they're 54.52 and we're 57.93, I think, out of 100. But we still have higher incidences of crime.
Yeah. You got a ladder. You basically took a ladder, climbed the side of the building and broke in. That's like the equivalent of going into a mall and robbing the mall in the open area. Don't know how that happened. Clearly they was desperate. They needed the bread. But I'm all right, so I'm confused. Do you know about, or do you know about what you're targeting? Or you're just randomly picking stuff? From what he described, they seem like they had stuff organized. It comes off as if like you didn't even practice. You didn't even go over this a few times, drive around the location, scope it out, go in the museum just to see this, that. It just seemed like, oh, hey, I got an idea. Let's just try this out and see how it works. But you took time to get a truck and a couple of scooters, so you must have put some thought into it. But what I'm assuming is you got so excited that you were actually in the moment that you really didn't care or have so much concern about covering your tracks up. So in a hurry, you just were completely sloppy. Doesn't really sound all that organized to me. When I heard about it, I'll be like, oh, this is about to be something of legend. I thought they got away with it. I thought we was looking at something that I only seen in the movies.
Ocean's 11.
That was initially the first thing I thought about. Ocean's 11. This was more like the Three Stooges. No security got guns. Nobody has weapons in it.
They even had an ex-thief criticize them before this happened, saying that they were like in danger of this happening. And they interviewed him afterwards, and he said, one, he pointed out that some of the jewel cases were literally, they're street side windows, and you could literally look in and see the jewels from the street. And then he also said, a pro who knows how to make alarms go quiet could easily get in. The windows are a piece of cake. You can imagine anything, people in disguise slipping through those windows. And he said that he was told, a senior official involved in the Loose podcast production, let's see, he told, it's a weirdly written sentence. He told them about the risk, and then he said, through the windows, even from the roofs, there are plenty of ways in. And then he also said, exactly what I predicted. They came by the windows, they came, they took, and they left. He argues that timing was part of the trick. Do it in broad daylight at opening time. It disables the first alarm layer, and you know you've got 5 to 7 minutes before the police can arrive. And then he says a smash and grab is choreography, a rehearsal, a stopwatch, muscle memory. So basically what you were saying, like I guess they should have practiced it more. And he said at one point there was one specific window, he was thinking to himself, they're crazy. So if you have a former thief telling you that your security is lacking, I mean, he's probably telling you the truth, and probably want to listen to them. At this point, maybe museums should start meeting with former thieves and stuff and be like, all right, you need to help us. Where are we lacking in this? Because clearly what we're doing is not working.
Everything about this was retarded, man. They lucky to still be alive, to be honest with you. Like the other two, I don't know where they at. I wouldn't be surprised if the other two were probably the smarter out of them. But they're eventually going to get caught too. This is not going to take that long. I guarantee you, though, they're going to step their security up. I'd be pissed at my security team. There's only so much you can do with a saw. It ain't like you can just. I don't know. I'm highly disappointed. I thought it was going to be like they scaled from the roof and dropped down and all. I came in through the window. and it was that easy. I'm surprised nobody else thought about doing it before or attempted to do it before. Maybe they have. I doubt it, but your museum has the most historical and precious material and content. You would think that you would have an urgency to make sure that that stuff is properly preserved. Like at the museum that I was at, you're not scaling no building, my nigga. You're not taking those scaffolds and no. There's cameras everywhere. Then the security, they're not playing with you. But I don't think security guards at the museum have weapons. They should, though. They should. On a scale of 1 to 10, nice try. I see the effort. I would never risk it. Not the way that they went about it. No. Nah. Hypothetically speaking, if I was going to do that, it would take me at least 6 months, 6-7 months to really think about it and to really kind of. I'm talking about. I'm not even going to the museum myself. I'm gonna have other people going in there, and I'm gonna have them walking around and taking pictures. No, I'm not doing it. I would never step foot in there. So give me 6 months, and I ain't working with nobody with a criminal background. If I do, it's because I know that they're more likely to be willing to do the grunt work while I do all of the master planning and stuff. But I digress. I'm not saying I would actually do it. I'm just saying, like, y'all didn't really put a lot of consideration into this.
Some of the past heists are actually kind of interesting. The one of them, the earliest one that he mentioned in the video that we watched, was the Mona Lisa. In 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen by his name was Vincenzo Perugia. He is an Italian immigrant who wanted to return the masterpiece to Italy, motivated by national pride, because that's where it was created originally. And he basically went there where the painting was housed, and he basically like hid in a broom closet, and then he waited until the morning when nobody was around, and then he took it. And because like they hide it under a sheet during the day or whenever it was, nobody noticed that it was gone until like the following morning. And so he got back to Italy with it, and it wasn't, he got away with it for about 3 years. And then they returned it back to the Louvre. But his whole country still considered him a national hero for what he did. And it's funny because apparently that's why the Mona Lisa is famous now. It's not because of its creation. It was famous because of that heist. And then in World War II, the Louvre was almost looted by the German occupation. But as they started to enter the city, as they approached France, the person that ran the director of the museum, he basically started organizing an evacuation of all of the treasures. He put them in wooden crates and sent them off into rural parts of the countryside with like really nondescript labels to let them know what they were without other people knowing what they were. And he closed the Louvre in advance, saying that they were doing maintenance work. And over a span of 3 days and nights, staff members, art students, and department store workers packed all of them away into wooden boxes and gradually sent them away one by one to various parts of the countryside of France. And one of them was sent out literally like at the last minute. But it paid off. And when they showed up, the Louvre was empty. And he was just like, what did you expect to find here? And he had like some of the cheaper items up and stuff like that. But why? But yeah, he tricked them. Children. And he was able to save all of these items. No, we're not doing that. Go downstairs. She's tired and has not had a nap yet, so she's grumpy. But yeah, he was responsible for saving all of these precious treasures from them, because they very likely would have destroyed them or sent them off to sell, and we would never have seen them again. So it took 203 vehicles and 1,862 crates, but they did save everything. And then the last incident was in 1966. They intercepted a transport of antique jewelry from Virginia, where it had been loaned back to France. So technically happened in the United States, not France. Shocker. But since then, nothing has happened except for this one that we're talking about. So I guess they haven't done too bad, but still, like, you had 4 guys break in through windows and get away on scooters. Okay. Like, it has the energy of that clip that I've been seeing frequently of the one guy on the bicycle that is out biking those like 10 ICE agents that are trying to grab him. And he still, like, I always imagine it with that, like, I forgot what the name of it, but the song, like the Chicken Run type song. And just how, I don't know, both sides seem so incapable that, like, as you said, the Three Stooges, where you're still able to accomplish it, but you made so many mistakes in the process. I'm like, how do you leave your stuff behind? Like, do you not know anything about DNA at all? Like, your hair, your gloves, I'm like, they're going to get fingerprints. Why would you take your gloves off as well? Like, doesn't that beat the purpose of having the gloves on to prevent them from being able to, like, they said that 2 of them were already identified from the fingerprints they left behind. Isn't that what the gloves are for? Why'd you take them off? Now they have your DNA on the gloves and your fingerprints? But then again, museum, what are you doing? You have the, like, some of the greatest treasures in history, some things that date back hundreds of years, and you don't have good windows that people can just smash and grab. Like, really? That's something you expect from, like, the average little art museum downtown everyone goes to, like, not from something with national treasures. Like, imagine if that happened in what's the one that we have in the United States, the one I think it's in Smithsonian, that's what it's called. Like, imagine if somebody just, like, marched into the Smithsonian and stole a bunch of stuff. Like, the whole country would be in an uproar, and they'd be upset at the building owners, like the maintenance members and the museum director and stuff, just as much as they'd be mad at the thieves. So what are you guys doing?
That was a recipe for disaster from the jump. I expect more, not to that magnitude though, but I do expect more looting and stuff like that, considering the state of the country here. You hear about people getting robbed and stores getting broken, and you don't really hear about museums or matter of fact, I think it was like last week I came across a story where a dude met somebody on like Plenty of Fish. It was like a dating app. On the first day they met, they went and robbed a bank. But they both got arrested. So it's like, that's how y'all wanted to spend y'all first time, huh? Genius. I don't know if it's the allure or people are just fascinated with the idea of possibly getting away with it and doing something that has never been done before. But well, you already got a criminal history, so you should be plenty comfortable with them handcuffs. Overall, that was a pretty cool story, man. A pretty cool one. I thought I'd see.
Could you imagine if Night in the Museum was a real thing there and they got stopped by the artifacts themselves?
Nightmares. That was a good movie, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, say no to drugs, people. Whoever,
say no to crime.
For real, whoever thought that was a great idea, you must have been on something special. Won't happen. This ain't the movies. Now, if they would have managed to get it, like, even if they would have got away, what about the jewelry and stuff? Who's gonna buy it? How are you gonna get rid of it? You know, that museum better step their security up, get some more cameras, all that, because it'll definitely happen again. Anything you want to add before we close out?
I was just looking at it out of curiosity, and it looks like most of the time with the Smithsonian in the US, a lot of the thefts were like inside jobs where they were staff members or volunteers. But most of the stories that I was seeing, they were caught almost immediately. Like there's one guy that tried to run out with some of the artifacts, and they just pressed a button, and then he immediately got grabbed by security. I'm like, maybe the Louvre should take some advice from the Smithsonian, because it seems like we have better luck at stopping people and keeping them from actually getting out in the first place. And a couple of the robberies weren't even of the objects. They like held up employees for the cash in the registers. But yeah, that was a very interesting topic. It was definitely less, as you said, it was a bit disappointing because I thought it was going to be some like super like when I think of the Louvre, when I think of somebody doing a robbery of something that notable and famous and high level, I would expect it to be very, very organized. Like, as we said, Ocean's 11, where you're practicing and you have a whole like thing set up. You have a whole plan, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And it just seemed like they didn't have a plan at all. Like, they left things behind. They left object, like they didn't, I don't know why they'd grab certain objects but wouldn't grab others. Like, they were taking crowns but not like the most expensive. That Regent diamond that I mentioned was $60 million. Like, if you were really planning on breaking these down, like, wouldn't you want that over the tiara, or that are like only a couple million? I guess my thought is maybe they thought it would be recognizable or something. Like, somebody would be like, where did you get a diamond this big? Like, but I mean, wouldn't the tiaras be just as suspicious? Like, where did you get a tiara that has all these emeralds and real diamonds? That's suspicious. But I don't know. I just, it wasn't what I thought this whole story was going to end up being, especially when they finally found them today, a couple days after, a week after it happened. But it's still crazy on the other end too, to think about, you have this museum with so many valuable artifacts and you're not able to, you literally lost some stuff to bumbling idiots. Like, so you're just signaling to anyone else that's more competent, be like, all right, here's how you do it. See their mistakes. Now you can learn from it and figure out how to break in next time and steal more objects. So, and during the day too. So yeah, this was a very interesting topic. As I said, kind of disappointing, but still intriguing nonetheless, just for the whole psychology and history element to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to say one thing, completely unrelated. Jamaica just got hit with a massive storm. It's the third strongest hurricane that we've seen ever in history. Hurricane, there's cyclones that have been bigger, but anyway, in the Pacific or Atlantic, they are devastated. I don't know how much people are hearing about it, but this hurricane did extreme damage. Like, it's an underestimate with what I'm saying. Like, it's really bad. So if you know people there, check in on them if you can. I'm fairly certain there's going to be, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I know there's going to be like donation services that are sending supplies and stuff like that. And if you can donate supplies, because they got walloped, and it's, just the pictures I've been seeing already, like, everything there is destroyed. So just praying for Jamaica, and yeah, do what you can to help. And yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will be back tomorrow.
Thoughts and prayers go out to Jamaica. Devastating, man. I have seen videos of it. It's bad. It really is. Thank you for showing up tonight. The topic was fun. It was definitely different. Shout outs to everybody who pulled up for the show this evening. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing. Enjoy your evening. Drive safe. And we'll see you tomorrow.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Our muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, I didn't get it. If the government